Probably one of the most terrifying prospects of the AP exam is the fear of opening to the LEQ section and having no idea what in the world to write about. You look at the questions over and over again and your mind is blank. But if that happens to you, I want to show you how to get unstuck and start writing so that you can score some points, because at that moment, panic doesn't have to be the end. But this strategy I'm about to give you is probably not something that you'd think of on your own, so listen up and let's get them brain cows milked. Well, hey, I'm Steve Heimler and I'm here to help you get an A in your class and a 5 on your exam in May. If you've opened to the LEQ section and gone completely blank, let me begin by saying that I relate. A year ago, another AP History YouTuber named Tom Ritchie asked me to make a guest appearance on his end of the year APUSH live review sessions. Now, if you've been around this channel for any length of time, you know that April and May are wild. I'm publishing videos every day and hosting hours-long live reviews for several subjects. And by the end, I am cooked. I'm exhausted, and when it's over, I just sit there and stare into the middle distance. But Tom had always been generous to me, and so I said yes. And I showed up and I presented a couple things, and then Tom asked the students if they had any questions for me. And the first question was this: can you tell us the difference between the populists and the progressives? And when I heard that question, nothing. Now, to be clear, this is not a hard question. This is like basic level material that any teacher should just be able to rattle off in a second, but maybe because I was exhausted, I don't know, I had no access to that part of my brain which stored that information. And let me remind you, this was live and they were waiting on me to answer. And by the way, my reputation is on the line. Isn't this the APUSH YouTube guy? Shouldn't he know this? Needless to say, in the span of a couple of seconds, I had already concluded that I was gonna have to quit YouTube, find another job, because I don't even know the most basic information when I am asked it. Now, I'll tell you what happened in a minute, but let me talk to you for a second. When you turn to the LEQ section, they're going to give you 3 prompts to write about, and you have to choose one. Let's suppose that you read each one of them carefully and not a single thing is clicking for any of those 3. What you're gonna be tempted to do in that situation is just to sit still and keep wringing your brain for something to write. But if you do that, it probably won't come. But here's where I tell you that sitting there and trying to think really hard is not going to help you. Your brain is already tired from working for 3 hours on the other sections, and then add to that the pressure of the situation. If I don't do well on this test, then I won't get college credit. If I don't get college credit, I won't go to college. And if I don't go to college, I'll end up living in a van down by the river and selling drugs to make ends meet. Oh no! Your brain will not serve you well under such conditions. So what do? It's actually the opposite of what you think. Just start writing. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. The whole reason I'm not writing is because I don't know what to write. And okay, let me explain. At that moment when the panic sets in, realize this: you don't know nothing. If you're an APUSH, you remember something about American history, even if it's just, George Washington was the first president. If you're in world history, you at least remember that there was a World War I and a World War II. If it's Euro, at least Christopher Columbus is somewhere in those brain folds. So turn to the back of the booklet and write down whatever you can remember, whether it's related to the prompts or not. And then write down whatever else you can remember. Just keep writing. One thing will lead to another, and then to another, and then to another. And remember what I said in my last study video: the most effective way to think is outside of your brain, not inside of it, and that is especially true when the pressure is on. So back to my live stream with Tom Ritchie. The moment that question was asked and I realized that my mind was blank, panic set in. All eyes were on me. So what did I do? Well, I just started talking. It was meandering, it was not in any way concise, but I started talking and my brain started making links, and eventually I was able to get to the answer. It was not an elegant answer by any means, but I got there eventually. You will get nothing out of your stressed brain by sitting there and thinking real hard. You have to start writing, and in that way your brain will start making links and connections. Maybe you'll remember something that was in a previous section of the test, and that sparked something else. This is how the brain works. And more often than not, if you've actually done any studying before showing up to exam day, you will find your way to that information if only you start writing. So if you start writing down things you know, and then a couple links are made, then at least maybe you could write a contextualization paragraph and get a thesis and get a couple points. Now, the best way not to blank out is to make sure you have material in your brain to work with, and if you want to know how to study effectively, then this video right over here is going to tell you exactly how to do it. And stick around the channel because I'll be publishing videos like this all throughout April and May in order to help you get ready for the exam. Heimler out.